Hi everyone, this is Suzanne coming to you from my kitchen. In this video I am going to show you how to make coconut milk kefir using fresh water kefir grains. What you see in front of me here are the supplies and ingredients that you will need. I've got a large pitcher. Glass is preferable to plastic. I've used stainless steel and that works too. I've got 1 liter of coconut milk. This coconut milk can be found now at Walmart. For those of you who live in Durham region, I bought this at the Glen Hill Real Canadian Superstore warehouse. I've got a 1/4 cup of fresh water kefir grains, a 1/4 cup of sugar. You could use organic sugar, but this is what I have on hand right now. 1 date. Now the date is optional. If you want more carbonation, I suggest you use a date, or you could also use a fig. Now I've got 2 vessels here to hold the water kefir, and this is a choice. I like to use the bag. This is one of those milk bags that you can buy at the health food store. It's got a drawstring to it. This is essential because you don't want the kefir grains getting mixed with the coconut milk, because once the coconut milk thickens, you're going to have a hard time removing the grains. This is another vessel that I've used. It's a strainer container. It steeps in a water jug made to fit this container. Anyway, I've used both. I prefer the bag, as I said, and I will be using the bag for purposes of this demonstration. Now I've poured the coconut milk in my blender because I find it does a great job of blending the sugar in it. Because normally when you're making water kefir grains, in my instructions I said to warm up or heat the water so that the sugar will dissolve much easily. But in this case, because it's coconut milk, I don't want to heat it up, so I find the blender works great. Okay, so I've blended the coconut milk with the sugar. I'm going to pour it into my container. Add the date. Plop. Now, here's a point I need to make about the size of the container. The coconut milk, once it starts to ferment, is going to expand. So you need a container that's probably double the size of the quantity. So it's 1 liter coconut milk. I would use at least a 2 liter container for this. So I've got the kefir grains in the bag and I fasten the drawstring, and it's just a matter of just dropping it in there. Is sometimes over the next 24 hours or so I'll take the bag and do just this. Keep dipping it inside the milk, and that so that the grains get a good soaking, and that you could take a spoon too to push it down to the bottom. So I'm going to check this in about 24 hours. Just like the water kefir, you want to keep this covered with a tea towel to protect it from any fruit flies or anything like that you may have in your kitchen, because we all have them. Now this should be ready in the next, I would say, 1.5 to 2 days. Now the temperature in my house is around 77, 78 degrees right now. So I'm going to have to taste it at the 1 to 1.5 day mark. Okay, so here's the coconut milk kefir. I've tasted it, it's ready. The test for readiness is a sourness to the coconut milk, as well as a bit of effervescence, which is slight carbonation. Now, here's the bag. It's discolored from the date that I put in there, as well as the color of the water kefir grains. The grains were made in a mixture of sugar and molasses, and so the grains take on the color of whatever you ferment them in. And so if you use white sugar, you'll end up with white grain. So I don't know if you could see the grains here. What I'm going to do now is dump this in a bowl and squeeze the excess out, because the excess coconut milk is in there, and that's something you want to keep. I've got two sterilized jars here, a 1 liter and a 750 ml. And even though you've used 1 liter of coconut milk, because it expands from the fat and the carbonation and all that, you will need more than a liter, and you will also need to leave some headspace at the top of the jar for expansion as well while it's in the refrigerator, because it's still fermenting, albeit a little bit slower. I've got the grains in a bowl here, and now I'm going to dump the majority of the coconut milk kefir. Whoops, oh, I forgot about the date, so I'll have to take a spoon and scoop that out. Now I wouldn't go any more than that, even maybe a little bit less. And I don't know if you could see it in front of you, but it's expanding already. Can you see it rising? That's the carbonation. I'm going to pour the rest in the second jar here. Now you can see that first jar, it's still expanding, and what I'm going to have to do now is I'm going to have to pour some of it out into my second jar here. And then now I'm going to squeeze out the excess from the actual grains. Now here's what was left from the bag of grains. I'm going to pour some of it in here and some of it in the second jar. Now what I've noticed is, as I was pouring it, I think some of the grains got squeezed, and because I find this very, very thick, and so we may have more carbonation and more fermentation happening while it's in the refrigerator. Anyway, I'm going to seal these with the regular mason jar lid and sealer. I'm going to put it in the fridge. I suggest you put it in the coldest part, meaning the back of the refrigerator shelf. The colder it is, the faster it will firm up, so you'll get a nice kind of whipped, creamy consistency, which is what people love about coconut milk kefir. Now this is the amount of coconut milk kefir. There's 1 liter jar here and the 750 ml. So you come out a little bit ahead. Now here's a jar that I had in my refrigerator. I just wanted to show you, I had already opened it, and there's the consistency of the fermented coconut milk. It's kind of like a whipped cream, actually, sour. I suggest you eat it after a meal. You could add it to a smoothie, but I would suggest that you don't whip it up in the blender with everything else. It's better if you spoon it in after and just stir it up, because you don't want any friction or heat. You want to leave the enzymes intact. Also too, it's great mixed with fruit. If you're new to coconut milk kefir, or water kefir for that matter, try a little bit at a time. Your gut needs to get used to it. So take maybe a tablespoon of the coconut milk kefir at a time, mixed with some berries. Just like water kefir, coconut milk kefir sours. All the sugar is eaten up by the grains, so you end up with a nice fermented product. Anyway, as far as the grains go, you could follow my instructions on how to store water kefir grains. It's the same with the these coconut milk grains. I'll call them that now that you can no longer use them for water kefir. Keep them separate from your water kefir grains and put them in a solution of sugar water with a little bit of molasses, if you so choose, and maybe a dried fig or a date. Like I said, it's better that you use a surplus of water kefir grains to make your coconut milk kefir, because these grains eventually will weaken and die off. Here are the grains that I use to make the coconut milk kefir. These feel slimier after making the coconut milk kefir. They're not firm like the regular water kefir grains. These have a more slippery texture, whereas the fresh water kefir grains are more firm and have a more rough surface. These are more smoother and slimier. I'm going to add these to a separate jar that I keep. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you tried it and what you think of the flavor if you're new to coconut milk kefir. Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. I'm going to add more recipe videos to my channel in the near future. Have a great day, and until next time, bye.